Hello, everybody. Yvonne here on behalf of the beautiful Anam Croi house in Westport. And I have been bestowed the honour of interviewing a beautiful soul that I just recently connected with myself. And it's almost like we're soul sisters. She's coming to Ireland next week. We're going to hang out and shoot the breeze and connect and have fun. We were just talking about feathers there. We're both feather people. But Amanda Ring, I don't have my feathers today. But Amanda Ring is the Seven Feathers Healing Arts. She's based in Canada in Nova Scotia, and she's coming to Ireland next week to Anam Croi in Westport, and she has some beautiful offerings. And really, I just wanted to talk to Amanda about a bit about her journey and what has led her to now facilitate and create the ceremonies that she does. So do you want to tell people a little bit about yourself, Amanda, so they can get to know you a bit more before you come here?
Yeah, and I'm so appreciative, Yvonne, and to Anam Croi for, welcoming me into a space like this to share because it's so nice, especially coming from Canada. Most people wouldn't have any connection with me, and unless they've connected with me through Anam Croi, the previous summer when I was there on retreat, and I was um, there with all other Irish women who were on retreat. So I was on retreat myself, and then returned this year because I was really feeling into where I knew I was to come back to Ireland, and I'll share a little bit about that in a minute. I knew I was to come back and offer the women's work, and the healing work that I've been doing there, and I was looking for the space of land that wanted to hold that, in terms of a retreat center and a location. So yeah, hello everyone who's listening and watching, and thank you for sharing in the space. I am coming from Nova Scotia, which actually the indigenous name of Nova Scotia is Mi'kma'ki. That is in the Mi'kmaq language, and I always honor that I am on unceded indigenous land of the Mi'kma'ki people here. And this is the land that I steward. I live here with my two teenagers who are 19 and 17, and my fur baby, Nala, which you might hear during the interview at some point. But yeah, it's interesting as I was thinking about when I was being invited to share so people can get a little sense of who I am and my journey, the work that I'm doing and why I'm doing it and why Ireland. Um, and really, I'll be 50 next year, and I have many rebirths through my own life, as I know you can relate to, Yvonne, and many of us on
Very
the
much so, yeah.
yeah the spiritual path, the path of awakening, I call it, and yeah, so much of my own journey and discovery and trainings and healing work is what informs the work that I do now. And so I had, different iterations of my life. I have a background as an occupational therapist, and I actually started my occupational therapy career in Dublin 23 years ago. I graduated and promptly moved to Ireland because my then husband, my now ex-husband, was in school there. So I moved over and started my career path as a clinical therapist there. And I fell in love, and I already had a long yearning for Celtic folklore, and ancient sites, and all of my ancestry is Celtic Germanic. So Irish, Scottish, English, German. So it's always been in my bones, like since I was a child. And so that was my first. I had traveled there once as a young student, but then I got to live there for almost 3 years, and I fell in love with the West Coast. I had really big spiritual experiences while I was there, even then, before my whole blossoming into my spiritual path. Um, so really, the work that I'm doing now is a lot about um, coming home to ourselves, particularly with women. I do a lot of women's work, but I don't only work with women. I run a lot of circles and smaller events and retreats, and I do one-to-one coaching and healing work. And that healing work involves a lot of um, consciousness raising experiences, body-based experiences like breath work, and sometimes we'll move into things more like to do with the inner child and somatic work, and an unveiling, because my journey took me through all of that. Yeah, I left. I had the experience really. I'd known for a long time that I was very connected spiritually. I was always curious about um, yoga and ancient things and ancient places and mystical practices and the esoteric. And there was a point in my life where I realized I wasn't truly honoring that part of myself and also who I was. I realized I was living my life as who I thought I was supposed to be, how I should show up as an educated woman and a wife and a mother and all of these things. And it was a real halting moment when I recognized that I wasn't living in my truth and my authenticity. Not that I wasn't genuine in my roles, but I I was hiding who I really was. There were parts of myself that I didn't recognize, that I didn't that I didn't even know were screaming to get out because of all of the conditioning that many of us have in our belief systems, lots of limiting beliefs. And I was just, yeah, and that all of that coalesced after having children and, moving from different places and landing back in Canada and leaving my 16-year relationship, and got on a path of coming home to myself, rediscovering who I really am, and what that meant. What does that
Mm.
actually mean? So it was all the recognizing of the patterns, the limiting beliefs, the um, how my boundaries or lack of them, all of these things that I needed to relearn and unlearn brought me into honoring my path of retraining in more spiritual practices. And I'd always been connected to nature. I've always been on the shamanic path, meaning I have felt since a child that I was very connected to the elements. I grew up in a rural fishing village and spent all of my childhood outside in the woods and in the fields and in the ocean. And I just felt everything speak to me. And I didn't have the language for it then that I have now, of course. Um, and so as I was starting to honor that more and learn about it and learn, oh, this is innately a part of who I am, I discovered this is innately a part of who everyone is. Um, this aspect of ourselves that's connected to energy, to the natural world. And I devoted a lot of this last decade to exploring that personally and developing my professional toolkit for it.
Mm.
So this process of coming home to myself, I realized that in order to to enact change in my relationships, in my family, in my community, in the world, I needed to exact change inside myself, because I'm a microcosm of everything else out
Yeah,
there.
I
Right? And
totally agree. Totally
yeah,
agree. Yeah.
so I had to dive in and I had to figure out how to do that. Like, I mean, I was learning things along the way, but I needed to go in and figure out who I was not, and to go through a process of reconciling and grieving the life that I thought I was supposed to lead, even though the decisions I was making were positive ones. There was still this process of having to reconcile this and then reclaim who I am, and start to nurture that. And so as I was doing this, I was started supporting other women and couples and men as well. And a big part of this discovery for me, Yvonne, was reconnecting with the feminine energies, the archetypal feminine energies of intuition, of embodiment, of community, of connecting to the natural world, of things that our ancestors were also more in tune with, and realizing how out of balance I was with this. And um and realizing how out of balance like the whole world actually
Mm.
was that. And so that really my mission, if I were to distill it down, my mission is to create and help to nurture a culture that is love based, that reveres connection and unity and community, and that reclaims the sacredness of life. We in the modern world have lost our connection to the sacredness of life. And so ceremony and ritual basic connections, like we're ritualistic beings, we do things in a ritualistic way that we don't even realize, even the way we prepare our tea or our coffee, or the way, we prepare a bath or a shower, the way we get dressed, everything has this pattern to it. But there's a deeper connection to that. And I started to realize how much that shifted my consciousness when I started treating everything as sacred, including my body, including my heart, including my relationships. And so in order to help to create that culture, of course, I had to look at, how am I not being loving to myself? How am I divided within myself? How am I not in unity within myself? How am I not allowing true connection and community with other people? Like, how am I showing up at the mass and
Mm.
then feeling like, oh, I've got all these connections, but I'm lonely? So it's like, how are all these things happening within me? And through that process, and as it continues, as you know, we go layer by layer by layer, that I worked through childhood wounding, codependency in relationship, and like very practical, hands-on, like tangible things, but from a more reverent, sacred, spiritual way, and connecting to the feminine, getting back in my body, being embodied, knowing what my body's telling me, being able to decipher that, rather than what this has been conditioned to do. And so that's that process of coming home. There's an unlearning, an unbecoming, and a reclaiming, and determining, like, what do I want to believe? How do I want to live? And so that's what I've been supporting so many other women in particular to do as well. And so I have a huge toolkit of ways to do that, and direct experience to help us have those breakthrough things around our belief systems and our wounding, but from a place of love and safety and trust, because I don't believe we can create a culture of love and connection and community without trust and safety. And that's something that's been missing as well, especially in the sisterhood.
Oh, totally, totally agree. You're speaking so much of my own language and my own kind of journey in many ways. And I know that there's a lot of people out there that are at that point in their life where they are starting to question everything and starting to say, well, who am I? Really, who am I? Because
Yep.
most of us are so, as you mentioned, programmed and conditioned and have these belief systems. So there is a lot of people, and I'm sure there's people that are watching this and listening to you going, gosh, I really do need to start looking at who I am. And there's a lot of parallels in our journey. And yeah, I think the work that you're doing is amazing. And I know you were in Anam Croi. You did your very first facilitation. Was it in May or June or
Yeah, it was just this past June, and it was a week
June?
long wise woman retreat. So I have a variety of offerings that theme around the wise woman. So this was
Mm,
honoring the triple goddess archetype. And so through the week, we journeyed through the maiden, the mother, and the crone. And so it was a full week at Anam Croi.
mm,
And it involved us also, like, not just working through the shadow aspects of things, but evoking the joy of the feminine and
yeah.
the playfulness and the right to pleasure, and to create a safety within the sisterhood to be who we are. And we distilled all the patriarchal influence that we're
Mm,
carrying around in ourselves, and broke it down and broke through it. And so that was that week. And I'm coming back next week,
yeah.
and I'm so grateful to get to meet you in person. And I'm hosting a mini retreat.
Mm,
So it's one day and one night on the 23rd and 24th. And that is also, it's a wise woman. It's a women's empowerment and self-love retreat.
Mm.
And then the Sunday on the 25th, I'm leading a course called Divine Dowsing, tuning your instrument. And this is another piece of the work that I do, is connecting us back to our innate ability to feel and sense energy, to connect with the energies of the land through dowsing, which some people might have heard as water divining or water witching. A lot of people, that's the most common access reference to it, but it's much, much more than that. It's a very
Yeah.
practical, functional way of connecting with your own energy body and your intuition and the energies of everything you're dealing with in life. So I have lots of information on my website about that. It's a really popular course here in Canada. And I do work with earth energies as well, but that's kind of coming. The course that around that's coming. I'm working on that right now. But it's yeah, there's information on my website. I have an online course called The Wise Women Awakening, which is a self-paced, self-guided course that people can check out. I also have a podcast called Flight of the Feminine. Um, the first season is out. There's 12 episodes, and it'll give you all who are listening and watching also more details about my personal journey, what values I'm bringing to the work that I
Mm.
do,
Mm.
and I'm bringing a full week-long retreat back in October to Anam Croi again. The land there and the people who have created and steward the land there in the center are really beautiful humans, and they have created such a safe space for people to come home to themselves,
Yeah.
to break down, to break through, to break open. And I immediately knew this was the space for me to host. And I've been meeting others who are hosting there, and I can't say enough about the tribe of people there. So I'm really looking forward to coming back.
Mm.
And one of the things I want to share with your listeners, and I know we're probably getting on to time, Yvonne, and we could talk forever.
I know
Um,
we could talk forever. Yeah, we'll wrap up shortly. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, is that something that's really, really important to me as a human, but also as a facilitator, is holding safe space. Integrity and honesty is really important to me. And there's a lot of work going on in the world where people are being invited to open, and that's maybe completely new territory for them. And I had people come on this retreat in June that I knew from Nova Scotia. There were people from the US and from Portugal that came as well, but this was their first experience. This was the leap, their first leap into any kind of empowerment experience or ceremony or anything. And I really make it accessible, and anything that I lead people through, um, I have gone through myself. So I never facilitate anything that I haven't directly experienced and that I can't stand behind and know how to hold safe space for. And so I just want your listeners to know that, because it's so important now, just with so much that's available, to really feel aligned with the person that is facilitating. And it's okay that my work may not be for everyone and it may not be the right time. There's definitely been one-to-one clients that I've had, and other people who've attended courses and events that I've hosted here and in other countries as well, where um, it just wasn't the right time. That like they were leaning in and curious, and then like, you know what? I don't. It doesn't feel fully right. It wasn't about being nervous, and like, oh, I'm going to do this for myself. I'm going to prioritize myself. And there's a set that, and part of the work that I do with people is helping them discern that feeling. We've been
Yeah.
so conditioned, and like there's just been so much in our brains, and from the time we're a child through all our education system and our family dynamics, to not trust within, don't even know how to read that. And that's a big part of what we do together. And that to me also helps people learn how to trust themselves. And when we can trust ourselves more, we can trust the world more, because we are showing up as authentic. We are taking the risk on saying, having healthier boundaries and communicating more of our truth, because we trust what we're receiving.
Mm.
And so other people sense that and feel that, and we open the door for them to be real and honest and authentic with us.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel is also healing the sisterhood, right? Is
100%, 100%.
and beyond that, because everyone has the feminine energies within them,
Yeah,
and our men and others of, across the gender board, we all have those feminine archetypal energies, and that has been really suppressed and disregarded and desecrated in everyone. So
and
we're starting
distorted in many ways. Yeah,
completely distorted. So
yeah,
we can't change what we don't see or know. And so there's no shame in not understanding what that even means. Because I didn't even know when I started diving in. I was like, how am I, how have I internalized that? How do I treat myself in that way? So part of the experiences I create is an openness and a way for us to learn what is even the patriarchy, how does that system, how has it influenced us? Like, we break it down into real life examples and language and everything, and that's because that's power. Once we
yeah.
can see that and we can feel into it, then that gives us the power to change it, right? It's not in our subconscious and hidden in our bodies anymore. We get to feel it and we bring it forward, but we do it in a way where we're not alone, because we were never meant to do all of this alone.
100%. And you're just speaking so much of my language, and even just about the embodiment, because there's a lot of people theorizing and talking about things that are out there. It's about embodying it, and it's about bringing people back to being their own guru, not
Yes, that's
somebody
right.
out there. And I
Right.
always find, and I even love what you said there about, and then we'll wrap up then, but
Yeah.
I love what you said there about people discerning for themselves if they're aligned, if it's the right time, if you're the right facilitator for them.
Yeah.
Because we all need community and we need support, and we will have people that will guide us through certain steps in our life,
Yeah.
but we do it from a place of empowerment within ourselves. And I know myself as somebody who works with people and as a facilitator, the best results I get are the people that are, fully in and fully ready, and the timing is there, and they're ready to really look within themselves. And all we're doing is just holding the space. So you're
Yeah.
so speaking, the language of,
Yeah.
I totally resonate with what you're saying. And just for those who are watching, do you want to so you're here, so the 23rd, 24th is a mini Wise Women retreat in Anam Croi, and I get you to give us your website in a second. The 25th then is the Divine Dowsing. You've studied with Rory Duff as well, who we both know now. I was talking
And
to him a couple of weeks ago.
yeah,
It's
and
just
Maria
mad
Wheatley as
synchronicities.
well. Yeah, I know we've had so many synchronicities since we've connected. It's beyond. But yeah, I've done intuitive dowsing work from the start, but then I trained with a local dowser 45 years, and Maria Wheatley, and then Rory Duff. I went over and worked
Yeah.
with him. And yeah,
Because a
it's
lot of people in Ireland would probably know Rory Duff. He's been
yeah.
recently speaking in Ireland at conferences and stuff. So if people feel inspired, if they feel it's aligned, if they're, where can they find out more about this? So give us your lovely website.
So I'll give you the website, but I'll also have the caveat that there's two Facebook events right now for
Okay.
each week that people can find. And there's also direct links that I have that won't show up on my main website. The retreat for October will, but the things for next week won't. But they are in, I believe, on the Anam Croi
Yeah, do
web.
you know what? We can put them in the link. We can put links below this on the
Let's do
social media
that.
platforms and stuff. But just generally your website
Yeah,
then,
website is,
just to land on your website, you can just have a look around.
yep. So it's Amanda hyphen, not the low dash, the mid
Middle one.
dash,
Yeah.
ring, RING
Yeah.
.com.
So
Amanda.
amanda-ring.com.
Yep.
Brilliant. We'll put all the links below anyway. And is there anything you would like to say before we wrap up?
Well, I'm just grateful to have the opportunity to share, and look forward to being back. Ireland's my second home, and
Yeah.
I have deep, deep connection there, and I love the community. And so even if this isn't something this time that your listeners are viewers able to attend, but are interested in something in the future, that I would love to come and do more facilitation. And I want to collaborate with the likes of yourself and other local practitioners, because this is the time when we are meant to bring our medicine together.
It's the
And
community, it's the unity. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So I would just say reach out if you have any questions at all about this work or other work that I'm doing, the online course. People can email me. I'm on Instagram and Facebook. I'm a little more active on Instagram. You can send a direct message to me. I'm on WhatsApp as well and Telegram. So I'm happy to field questions and
Mm.
happy to chat. I do free discovery calls with people, so via Zoom. So
Yeah.
if somebody's like interested, but they're not 100% sure, and they want to have a one-on-one, I can arrange that, no problem. So just let me know. You can, when you go to my website, there's a connect with me link page, and
Great.
on there you can even select the discovery call. You just tick that off. I'll get the email, and then I can get in touch with you directly. Um, I do a weekly email on every Monday. That's also a channeled um, message and support for the week to
Oh,
reflect
brilliant.
on. So if people would subscribe to my newsletter list, they will get that every Monday, unless I'm working the weekend and away or
Yeah.
something. I'll always
Yeah.
announce. There might be a gap here or there, but always has little announcements of what's happening to and upcoming things. So that would be great if you
Yeah.
want to
I'll
stay in
subscribe.
touch. Yeah,
Yeah.
to subscribe.
So
So
amanda-ring.com. And we're going to see you. I am going to bring Amanda to the lovely Blessington Lakes in West Wicklow. We're going to do a lake dip and we're going to connect with some of the energies before we send her off to the west of Ireland. So looking forward to meeting you in person. And unfortunately, I can't actually go because I'm doing a retreat myself the same weekend. I'm like, but maybe October, maybe October. If I'm not in California, maybe October I'll be able to.
yeah, it
So
will align. It will align,
it will
and
all
we
align beautifully.
cross,
And
cross
so
every track.
brilliant. Thank you, Amanda. Thank you so much. And if anyone's interested, just drop us a direct message or a comment below or amanda-ring.com. Brilliant.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Blessings.